Hallo und willkommen, ich bin Meister Lindsay and this is my lovely assistant Claudia and you're watching Get Germanized, Oktoberfest Myths Busted.
I am bored, what should I do?
Ah, ich weiß.
Get Germanized.
Today we're gonna have a look at some myths that you might have heard about the Oktoberfest but that are actually probably not true. So I'm gonna ask a question, for example, do you think this is true, or is it true that? And then Claudia is gonna say yes or no, depending on, you're gonna just answer what you think is true, and then I'm gonna bust the myth. Alright, let's get started. Lasst uns anfangen. Is it true that you can only enter the Oktoberfest in a traditional Oktoberfest getup? What do you think? Like in the dirndl and the nice shirt?
I don't think so. I hope not. I don't think.
Well, let's have a look at what the truth really is. No, this myth is not true, so we can bust it away because everyone is welcome on the Oktoberfest. Doesn't really matter what you're wearing. Obviously, the traditional lederhosen and dirndl combination is more than welcome. But then again, traditional Bavarians actually don't like it as much, that all the foreigners come in like Bavarian attire now, just because it is their thing and they're like kind of wah, 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 if Americans do it and get really drunk. And the trend has gotten so far that you can now buy lederhosen and dirndls pretty much everywhere, like at H&M and C&A and Karstadt, all these shopping malls in Germany. They sell these traditional things just at the right time before the tourists, or actually when the tourists get there, so that they can buy them. I saw a lederhosen once that was like over 100 euros. It was authentic, like leather, everything, and you can just buy that in a normal store. I guess that wouldn't happen here in England, right?
Oh, H&M would not sell lederhosen.
Oh well.
Maybe I wish they did.
Yeah, it's nice. I would buy one if I had the money, but it's so expensive. So to answer this question again, yes, you can go into Oktoberfest and into the tents with normal clothing. So the next myth is it true that everyone dances on the tables at all times? Like, is that allowed? What do you think?
Not at all times, but I think it's allowed. I mean, it should be.
Well, it's not. It is actually forbidden, because it is too slippery and dangerous to dance on the tables most of the time, because people spill beer and stuff like that. And so it's forbidden, but you are allowed to dance on the benches, like in front of the tables. Did you know that?
No.
Well, but people do it, right?
Yeah.
So that is allowed. That is actually cool. So if you're a foreigner going to the Oktoberfest, keep that in mind. Don't dance on the tables. Even the beer maidens that walk around, like the waitresses, are supposed to tell you, get off the tables if you do that. And I think they even fine people who do that, just because it is dangerous. So next up, is it true that the Maas, this thing here, full of beer, is getting more and more expensive every year? What do you think?
Probably, yeah.
Sounds legit, right? Let's find out if it's true or not. Yes, this myth is true. The Maas has got more and more expensive, and I think keeps on getting more expensive every year, which is a shame because, well, people like to drink beer, but I guess they want to make money on the Oktoberfest. So 40 years ago, I think if I read that right, the Maas was still 240 Deutschmarks, like 2.40 Deutschmarks, and now it's over 8 euros. And so you can see how much more expensive it has gotten. The beer is doing its job in the last 40 years, and it keeps on getting more expensive. A rip-off, I think, because beer fests like the Oktoberfest are all over Germany all the time, and there the beer is not even half as expensive. So maybe you should think about going to the normal beer fest in Germany and not only to the Oktoberfest, because the Oktoberfest is pretty much just a gigantic normal beer fest. Claudia, tell me, is it true that there's only beer to drink on the Oktoberfest? What do you think? Is that true?
Oh, what's it called? The lemonade and beer. They have that, don't they?
It's called a Radler, or something else as well. Alster. Alster and Radler is like beer and lemonade, or beer and like Sprite,
Yeah.
stuff like that. We even have like beer with Coke, not cocaine, Coca-Cola, and other things. Like, we love our mixed beer, so this myth is not true. It is allowed to drink anything really on the Oktoberfest. Water even. Water, if you want, you can drink water on the Oktoberfest. Doesn't really matter.
Why would you?
Well, yeah, I know, right? It's preposterous, but still, you are allowed to. So that myth is busted. So our next myth is a bit delicate, but I'm gonna ask you anyways. Is it true, do you think, that the toilets on the Oktoberfest, inside the tents and everywhere else, are so full that people decide to pee under the benches instead?
Oh, probably. I believe that from experience.
From experience?
Not personally, but like the toilets have been full.
Yeah, right. That is actually true. Some people might do that and just, I guess the men, because the lederhosen even have a little like opening there with buttons, you can just shoop, unzip that or open it and then do your thing if you feel like it, but obviously it's frowned upon. You should not do that. I would find that more than disgusting if someone next to me did that. So maybe just hold it and wait until it's your turn on the toilets, because, well, you want to leave, like, you want to leave Germany with a good impression on the locals, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I wouldn't do it, but obviously people do. That's strange. Very strange. Next up, is it true that in Oktoberfest tents it's not allowed to play loud music?
That must be a lie.
Why? Have you experienced that yourself?
Yeah, when I went to a beer festival, there was lots of loud music. That's what you dance to.
Ein Prosit,
Yeah,
ein Prosit
that's the
der
best one.
Gemütlichkeit. This myth is actually true, at least during the day.
What?
Yes, yes, until actually 18 o'clock I wanted to say, until 6 p.m. it is not allowed to play music louder than 85 decibels. This concept is called the sanfte Wiesn, the soft Wiesn, the soft meadows. The Wiesn means meadows, I think, right? So, and they have that since when? 2005 actually. So quite some time now that it's not allowed to play loud music before 6 p.m. So think of that and maybe go to a little smaller beer fest if you want loud music all day long, like blasting through the speakers, German techno music, or something like that. Next up, is it true that there is a gay tent on the Oktoberfest?
I have no idea.
Well, there is. Not officially, but there are like events where gay people can meet up. Obviously to party together and whatever in the tent. And so I guess you could call it the gay tent. I've read that there's actually a gay Sunday and it's the first Sunday on the Wiesn, I believe. But I'm not sure if that is true. If anyone out there knows more about this, please tell us in the comments below. And I think there's even like a Prosecco Wiesn. Prosecco is like, you know what Prosecco is, yeah. So there are gay events, but I don't think there is an explicit gay tent. Maybe. I don't know. Tell us more in the comments below. Next up, is it true that the Wiesn bartenders don't fill up your mass to the very top?
Yeah, that's true.
How do you know?
Because they always fill it to about there, maybe?
Really? That's a rip-off? That is a rip-off, guys, isn't it?
But they do it to everyone, so it's okay.
You have any idea why that could be?
No.
I believe, and I have not looked it up yet, I believe that they do that because all the beer maidens have to carry like 8 beers around, obviously, and if they didn't do that, it would like go out of the beer, of the mass. So
yeah, and you know when you're dancing on the tables, or on the benches at Oktoberfest, not the tables.
Yeah, the benches, exactly. This myth is actually true, but not because of what we thought. It is true that because people try to make money. Like the bartenders do that on purpose, or the Wirte, like the what do you call them, the heads of the pub, like the guys that own it.
Managers.
Yeah, kinda, but it's more like he works there as well. He gives people beer and shit like that, and
bartenders.
Yeah, bartender, but the main bartender, the head bartender. They try to make money and rip people off. And even if they just use 0.1 liters less than it should be, they make like over 4 million during the Wiesn, because obviously not this every single bartender guy, but like in total, like it's a big profit that they can make if they like rip you off. And so many are. That's why if you don't get a full mass, you should probably say like, hey, wait a second, I paid €8 for this shit. So better fill it up to the top. Next up, is it true that the beer tents, die Zelte, are being closed before 12 o'clock at night?
I think so, yeah. They usually, the one I went to shut at 11.
11?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. That's unusual for German, like for beer fests in general, I would say, or for Schützenfeste, like the hunter festivals that we have. Because that's pretty much like an Oktoberfest, but they go until 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. sometimes even, like the tents close then when the DJ is kind of exhausted and falls to the ground dead. So Oktoberfest is really strict apparently. Let's see if that is true. That myth is actually true. The beer tents close at 23:30, which is like 11:30 p.m. and then everyone has to get out of the tents, except for 2 tents on the Oktoberfest. Everything closes. There are the Weinzelt, the wine tent, and Käfers Schenke, it's called, a pub or a tent, I guess, that closes later as well. In the wine tent, the last order has to be made at 12:30 and it closes at 1 p.m. So keep that in mind when you're going to be a bit late at the Oktoberfest, because you might not get into any tents anymore. Last but not least, is it true that the Oktoberfest is the main contributing economic factor in Munich? Like that pushes the economy in Munich? What do you think?
Probably.
Probably, you say? Probably?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, it is not the main contributing factor, but it also makes a lot of money. But if you compare it to like BMW, Siemens and other big companies that are located in Munich, then it's not as much, but it still makes about 1 billion euros for the...
1 billion euros.
Yeah, it earns 1 billion. So like eine Milliarde, that's a billion, right? Milliarde, I think so, actually, yes. So it's a lot of money that the Oktoberfest makes. Still not as much as all these big companies, obviously, but you probably wouldn't want to miss it if you were like a government person in Munich. So that's it for the first part of the Oktoberfest myths busted videos. Also, we made a Oktoberfest vocabulary video. Click here on Claudia's face if you want to see it. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel, obviously. Check out the social networks and all that good stuff. And now it's time to answer some comments. Jefferson Lucia says, Dominic, please, what can you tell me about the weather in Berlin during October? Temperature, rain, precipitation, and so on. Thanks in advance. Well, I don't really know what the weather is going to be like in October in Berlin. I don't actually know the weather in October at all. Probably around like 9 degrees, 10 degrees, something like that. But then again, sometimes we have like a golden October, like a golden October, and can get up to 20 degrees again. And it's really confusing. Sometimes October is really nice, sometimes it's not as nice. A bit of rain, I guess, like it's getting colder, the temperatures are falling, and it's preparing us for the winter. Nuba Harp says, is sauerkraut a drug? No, sauerkraut is not a drug. I mean, to some people it might be like they're addicted to it. But sauerkraut is definitely not a drug, and it is fermented cabbage, so it's like rotten cabbage, and it has all these nice bacteria in there that is good for your digestive system, or that are good for your digestive system, and so many people think it's very healthy. I think only the version though that is not being heated, and like the version that you can buy in stores, in most stores is actually not healthy anymore because the bacteria has been killed off. But in like organic shops and in some supermarkets, I guess, or if you make it yourself, you will have that health benefit in that sauerkraut. Chris the Conqueror says, I don't care, but don't do it in Singapore. The punishment is death there. He's referring to the cannabis video, and that you shouldn't do cannabis in Singapore because the punishment is death. I didn't even know that. Well, that's a bit harsh for doing like weed, I guess. Isn't it? What do you think, guys? Should people be killed for doing that? I think that's a bit harsh. Just tiny bit. That's it with the comments, guys. Vielen Dank fürs Zusehen. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to get Germanized. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen is the myth that... Beer.
Beer.
Beer.